certain there's property attached to it. If it's a divorce or a probate, maybe not. Is there any equity? And I learned this evening that Leland doesn't even care if there's equity. He's just going after it because he's going to find some magical way to work it. So I'm interested to learn about that. And finally, we're going to get in touch with that potential motivated seller. So the first thing you're going to do, if you can read that website up there, it is mycase.in.gov. If you don't already use that, please write it down because you're going to need to use it in the future. mycase.in.gov. And I think if you just Google Indiana MyCase, it'll probably pull that up. And so you can search, when you go to that website, you can search either by case number, by the parties' names, or by the attorney's names. I'll tell you that if you search by anything other than the case number, you could be sitting there for a very, very long time scrolling through stuff to try to figure out, especially if it's something like Joe Smith, like good luck, that might be 5,000 pages. So search for the case number, you're going to have the best results with that. And it's going to give you the mailing addresses of the people that are involved in the case, and that is super helpful. You can also use that mailing address to determine if they're the property owners, maybe they're renters, so maybe you just want to go after that landlord too, if that's the thing for you. Or you could possibly further research foreclosure. When you go to My Case, this is what it looks like. The current tab that's up there right now is search by party name, because I think that's what I used last year. However, it's going to be a lot easier if you do it by case number. So this is going back to the beginning of the presentation. This is the dissolution of marriage or the divorce that we started out with. So we're going to take that whole case number, the 49D0 whatever, and we're going to combine it with the DC and all that stuff that goes after the DC. And we're going to search for that. We know that their names are Brandon and Crystal Reed. So we're going to go back into My Case. We're going to type in that number into the case number search. Hit enter. You probably have to go through a CAPTCHA thing, tell it which school buses you see or stoplights or whatever. And then you're going to get this screen. And this is where you're starting to get to the goal. As you can see, you got the right case number, you can see their names, and you're stoked at this point. So you click that blue link, and it's going to give you a case summary screen that looks something like this. It's going to have some little drop-down arrows by their names. I already had dropped them down so that you can see their addresses. The top one's always going to be the respondent's address. The bottom one's always going to be the petitioner's address. The petitioner is the person who filed for divorce. The respondent is the person who is being divorced from. Go ahead.
When you get this info, since there's no phone number and no quick way to contact these people, if you just plug that stuff into Facebook, find a message, you're not breaking any laws, right?
No, you can do that. I don't do it, but you can do it.
What do you do?
I mail.
Mail?
Yeah, Leland's going to talk a little bit about some other things that he does as far as like cold calling, things like that. But I'm a mailer. I don't like the cold call. It's not my thing. So we've got their addresses. That's important right now because this was a divorce, remember, so we don't even know if there's actually any property. I can tell you there's property attached to it because I had to find one that had property attached. So in this case, we know there's property attached just because I already did the research for us. So we're going to take that first address, and what do we do with it? We're going to go to the website that you may not be able to read up there. But essentially, if you Google Marion County property cards, you're going to get the same website. It's a maps website. Super easy. It lets you search by parcel number, state parcel number, owner name, and the address. I'm sorry.
Could you repeat what you just said about it?
So if you Google, yeah, you're going to need to go to Google because I doubt that you can read that up there. I can't even read it. I'm standing next to it. You Google Marion County property cards.
You can also get to it in the assessor's office.
Marion County
Assessor's office.
Assessor's office or property card?
Well, the assessor's one that does the property cards, they have a link on their website, they'll take you to that website.
If you just Google Marion County property cards, you're going to get there. I promise.
Websites. When they redid the website, I'm finding it harder to navigate. So.
Their website is terrible.
And that's been redone.
Yeah, that's the update.
So
You said a Marion County property what?
cards. D.A.G.
D.A.G. Just like a deck of cards. So when you get to the website, this is what it's going to look like. And at the top, so over to the left, you're going to click search by address. That's where I usually go because it's the easiest thing for me. Plug in their address. Up there the top, and it's gonna give you, it does some kind of a weird computer matching thing. So as you start typing the address out, it's gonna, if you're right on, it's gonna give you the address right below there. So as I started typing out red tail, or whatever number that is, and then red tail, it dropped down with the entire address, and I was able to click on that. So just because you don't get an address when you plug in there, or if it says no entry found or no information found, that doesn't mean that there's no property. It means delete whatever you just typed in there and type it slower. Maybe put red tail all together as one word if you didn't do that before. Maybe take it apart as 2 words if you already had it as 1 word. Like, you have to think about how to outsmart the computer, because whoever at the assessor's office entered it into this is how that computer is searching for what you're trying to find. So you have to try to make that same mistake or whatever that thing could
There's
be.
no wild card that you can use?
If there is, I don't know how to do it.
I've never tried.
It's not very often that it gives you a whole lot of peanut butter.
Sometimes you add the north or south or east or west.
Yeah, also, yeah, sometimes it could be something as simple as north or south. Kessler is a weird one where it's got like West Kessler, South Drive sometimes. Sometimes it's West Kessler without the south on it. So you just have to kind of play with it. Use it enough and you'll figure out which roads are going to give you problems. And the only other thing that I found where it says that there's no information available is if a person lives in an apartment. So sometimes, like if it just tells you that the address doesn't exist, you might have to go into like Apple Maps or Google Maps or wherever, zoom into that address, and you might find that it's an apartment or some kind of rental thing like that. Most often though, you're going to get this screen where it shows you the address and